this is my horse, Juiced in Hollywood. Her barn name is April, and she is a reiner that I am hoping to transfer over to the ranch riding.
Hi, my name's Loretta McClintock. I'm Claire's mother. Even though we're in Aubrey, Texas, I live in Iowa, and I come and visit quite often. My little horse is Star on my jersey. He's a 4-year-old quarter horse that we purchased as a reining prospect. He wasn't into all that much, so we're still doing a little reining, but mostly we're looking at the ranch riding because we do it as a family.
So I like to think April's big strength is her extended trot, which is also one of the winning maneuvers in ranch riding. She's really good at her extension, like her legs really reach out and she can keep her head pretty. So I will work on that today.
We still have challenges. Jersey's getting better at his turnarounds, just getting more cadence and fluid, so we do that. He does have issues with loping around with his head collected where it should be, so we might work on that a little bit too.
Great. All right. We'll watch you guys work out. We really enjoyed watching you guys working in maneuvers. We want to mix it up a little bit. We think it'd be fun to have a little mother-daughter challenge. So we're going to have you switch horses, and what do you guys want to show off? How do you want to compete?
Slide off.
A slide off?
Slide off.
Are we going to measure distance or just form?
If they just stop.
All right. All right, you guys switch horses, and we'll capture the slide off. Who won that?
I'm thinking April did.
What do you think, Mom?
April might have won, but she did have a handicap, so we should give her first place. But Jersey tried.
Yes.
After a while, he tried.
You guys both did great.
Trent Wargo. I'm the farrier here for Tom McCutcheon, son Cade and wife Mandy. I've worked for him for 17 years. I've shod strictly reining horses for 17 to 20 years. Shod multiple fraternity derby champions, NRBC champions, World Equestrian Game, gold medal winning horses. And I chose the reining because I like it. I feel that I can help a reining horse. I can make him turn better. I can make him stop better. And it's just a discipline that I'm interested. I think it's amazing that they can make these horses dance, for lack of a better word, the way that they do. And I hope I have another 20 years to go. So the reining horses use sliders in order to help them with the maneuver, the sliding stop maneuver. So they're a little bit bigger, wider material that helps them slide through the dirt. There's a misconception that reiners need to be low and long-toed, and that's not the case. We just try and put them in a athletic position, try and balance as well as we can. When we take off the slider, we can tell a lot of issues with wear, just like any shoe. Breakover dynamics, where they're breaking over, where they're wearing, if they're sliding or hitting more medial lateral. I never reset a slider. In my practice, a lot of the horses are show horses. They're being trained on constantly. And so the shoes just get really thin. And yes, there's technically a lot of material left here, but the issue is this edge right here will get razor sharp. And if they do overreach, they can really do a number on themselves. So we like to go ahead and put new material on every single time. You know, this is a 5 weeks worth of wear on a slider. So my philosophy, and it should be for anybody, is the most important thing is the balance of the foot. And every farrier that should be there, top priority is to balance the foot as best as possible. But I just want to try and put this foot in the center of what I say the lame, or the limb, and just try and put it in the center of this horse's leg and body to put it in the most athletic position possible. Anybody that ever played sports, it was always, you know, preached to them to, you know, start off or get into an athletic position. And that's basically what we're trying to do. If we can keep the joints and limb aligned, your success for not just soundness, but ability for the horse to perform the maneuvers at a high level is increases. Well, the biggest mistake I see is somebody trying too hard to make the foot what it's not. And sometimes we have to remember that we've got to keep the foot and the horse healthy, and they are what they are. If we try to accomplish too much with our rasp or our nippers or our knife, trying to put that perfect foot on that horse that has an imperfect foot and an imperfect balance, then sometimes what we do is we take the integrity away from the hoof capsule. Instead of maybe keeping them on a shorter cycle where we can maintain the hoof capsule a little bit better, we let them go too long, and then there's so much distortion or unbalanced to that foot that we try and do too much, and then we take away all the good hoof wall and all the good depth of sole. And when you take all the integrity and strength away from that foot, then it's going to deteriorate even more so. And in a performance horse, the ones I'm working on are in high level training. There's times of the year that they're not as heavily trained on as others, but for the most part, it's highly demanding, highly physical, and if we don't maintain a good hoof capsule on one, it'll just deteriorate. So on a slider, we want it to act a lot like any type of ski or, say, snowshoe that you might wear. The job of the slider is to float on top of the sand or arena floor, and we want it to be a very full fit, and that can be anywhere from just slightly full to very, very extreme, depending on a farrier or trainer's philosophy. A lot of times varies as to their feel and what they want that setup to be on their horse. Cold is It's not impossible, but it's a lot tougher, and I'm not going to have the precision if it was cold as that I would when it's hot like this. Your simple front shoes, or what we'd call keg shoes, are much easier to shape cold. Just the thickness and amount of material is a lot less, and so you can do that. I mean, obviously there's a large majority of farriers that like to do everything hot. I want it to mimic the hoof perfectly. I want the hoof, when it's sitting on there, I want this shoe to mimic the hoof with some support of the limb. Sometimes our feet can be not in the center of the leg or limb, and so maybe we need some support. What's really common in the Rainers is they tend to be a little cow-hocked, so they're going to turn out a little bit in their feet, which means the medial toe will be a little slight. So I like to fit the slider full to the medial toe, and it helps if they want to spread, it gives them support to the inside. And that's a common, very, very common thing on reining horses, is that fitting them full to the medial toe, which adversely then horses working diagonals usually means we're going to fit them pretty full or give them support to the lateral or outside heel. So okay, so we grind these shoes. We call it safing or checking the shoe, and you can see that I just take the sharp edges off so that there's nothing sharp. The factory shoe can have some really sharp edges on them, and number one, when a horse is turning around, if they step on themselves, they won't cut themselves. Also, it creates a nice little ledge right there, so that if they do step on themselves, it's going to slide right off. The other shoe will just slide right off of that. The unfinished foot here, angles sometimes are difficult to explain, but you can see the shoe fit on this on a reiner is very full. I have shoe all the way around. It's, like I said, it's a larger perimeter fit, meaning that there's just more support lateral heel, like I talked about, and more medial toe, like I talked about, and a little bit of shoe exposed all the way around for that. But I trimmed this foot to where it told me it needed to be. A farrier puts a very standard trim on one, and making sure that the heels are back to a certain spot, and you then blend the toe accordingly. What I like to look at is what I call the hoof pastern angle. I want the pastern and hoof wall to flow. I want these two things to be in unison with each other. Is basically what I look for. Now in your reiner, because we leave the toe on them, we don't back the toe up in the hind end because of the sliding stop. It's going to look a tad bit long and toey. Because they need to do the sliding stop, I think they have bred and raised horses and are attracted to horses that are underneath themselves a little bit more. It makes them easier to perform that maneuver. And the last thing that's of importance on a reiner is to take the nail heads off. We try and use a nail that's small and with very little head sticking out, but we don't want any traction on the bottom of the foot. And I use a little hand grinder, but you can use just a rasp, but you can see there's just a tiny bit of nail head sticking out, and yes, they would wear down in a few weeks or something, but at this level, it's just not. We need this horse to be able in 20 minutes to go out there and be able to go to train and perform and do the maneuvers. So